Hello, beautiful human. Thanks for clicking on our conversation with Sofia Carson. She is an incredible human being and a real friend, and she also just released her debut album, which is crazy to think about because she's been on our show a bunch. We've talked music for what feels like forever, but this album, this body of work, it is different. It is her. It's an extension of her being. Please, if you haven't listened to it yet, there's a link in the description below. Click it to listen, and while you're down there, leave your honest feedback on our interview in the comment section. Hit like on the video and subscribe, because that's the only way we get to keep going. So, yeah. Anyway, Sofia Carson. Hello, beautiful human. My name is Zach. That's Dan, and we welcome to the studio Sofia Carson.
Yes! In person.
Hi, guys.
We have so much to discuss.
We have so much to discuss. It's been how many years since I've seen you guys in person? I think it's going to age us if we say it.
I know. It feels weird because I thought, like, I look at you and I go, oh, I've seen you.
I just saw you. I felt the
Yes.
same thing when I saw you, yeah.
Like, you just a presence and a face that I've seen so many times.
That's true.
And really, like, we've had great discussions, but
We have.
all over the worst platform imaginable, Zoom. I mean, it's a horrendous platform.
We talked to you 3 times over Zoom.
And then
Just 3?
That's it.
I felt like it was way more.
But you also came through and you really helped us out. We did the St. Jude
Oh, we did the
prom.
St. Jude prom, yeah. That
Thank
was
you for
beautiful.
that.
Oh my God, of course.
Really, truly. Like, you.
Always.
We have a lot to dissect here, but first, congratulations on your debut album.
That is so cool to hear you say that. Thank you.
Has it, like, fully set in yet? Like, have you?
It's setting in. It's setting in. Actually, I just realized the first time I came to the studio was for my very first single.
Wow.
And now I'm here debuting the album.
When you say it like that, it just seems so simple. But the reality is there's been a lot of work between that first single and this
Yeah.
moment right now.
Yeah.
As a person and as an artist, I'm assuming you've evolved and changed. Like, do you think of the time, your first single release ever?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have grown so much as a person and as an artist over these last couple of years, musically, artistically, personally as well. Especially, I would say the last 2 years have been a big period of growth for, I think, all of us. So to be able to put out this body of work is, it feels really special, because even though I've done a lot over the last few years, and I've been really lucky, I think it's like 10 singles, multiple soundtracks,
Crazy collaboration.
Tiesto, etc. Making and writing my first album just feels different. It's like my heart, you know?
Is the process different compared to what you were doing before in terms of creating?
I guess it was just more time and more weeks spent in the studio because you had to create a whole body of work. And I think the biggest difference was, especially in the last 2 years, I really tapped into like the vulnerability and the honesty that I had kind of been scared to break into before. And I was really able to kind of bring that out of me and put these in the songs.
Do you set goals or expectations before you start creating
Yeah.
this body of work?
So I did. I wrote my first song when I was 10.
Yeah.
It was called Leave Me Alone.
Relatable.
Yeah, who is that to?
I couldn't tell you because I didn't have a crush, but I always was fascinated with writing about love or heartbreak. And I knew that with my first album, I wanted to tell a story from start to finish, a story about love. So I kind of made this like movie in my head before I started the album writing process. And it was inspired in personal experiences and also in like the experiences of those closest to me.
Interesting.
And I told a story about a girl who falls into a love that was deceiving, only to get shattered into pieces, as love tends to do, but the story about a girl who survives. And so I wrote the album in chronological order and filled in the blanks of my story.
Okay, so how does that work? Do you write out a story like in paragraph form and then apply songs to it? Do you know the story you're looking to tell and then write songs?
It's
to fit
interesting.
it?
I never wrote it down in paragraph form. I wrote a piece using all of the song titles after it was written, but beforehand I just had the story in my head.
You mentioned a story being based off your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself as the character? Do you write from imagination? Like, how is it working?
Before I would write from imagination, because I always struggled with talking about literal experiences. It was almost like it was just too raw. But in the process of writing this album, I was able to write about what had actually happened. So I do see myself as the character in the story.
As you process the events that you're writing about, how does that work? How do you start the process? If you're ripping from your own life and then exaggerating it or adding imagination to it, how does it start?
It always starts with a word for me, based on the experience. Like there's a song called Stay, and it was when I wished that I had the strength or the courage to tell the person that I was with that I wanted them to stay. And so I wrote the word stay on my notes page, and I walked into the studio kind of expressing what I wanted to write about, and that's how it started. Or for instance, He Loves Me But, it was similar. I wrote the words He Loves Me But, and then I started writing some of the lyrics. So for me, it always comes with like words and poetry that stem from something that actually happened.
Louder is a song that, like, I mean, great record.
Thank you.
Powerful lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, really incredible. Like, empowerment to the max.
Thank you.
If I was a man, then you would understand. Like, how does a record like that begin?
I had the honor of collaborating with two incredible female songwriters, Alita and Paris, and they began writing the song via Zoom, which to me blows my mind. I was lucky that I was able to write the majority of this record in person. And this song, as women, is so real and so raw and so true to the experience of all women around the world. If I was a man, then you would understand. And just the sentiment saying, I was made to be loud, because for so long women have been silenced. And so this song kind of started like that, and then it became an anthem for women, and it's dedicated to all the women of the world and all of the voices of change who are at the forefront of history. Literally, history is being made right now by young women.
I mean, we're about to bring in a brand new Supreme Court judge.
Exactly.
The Supreme Court's been around 233 years, and there's never been a black woman who's sit on the bench, even
About
nominated.
time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In the best possible way. So female empowerment is such a through line to who you are, right? Like you, speaking of government, just for the quick second, like you wrote a very strongly worded op-ed, a letter
Congress,
that brought about real change. Can you explain to me what the Keep Girls in School Act is?
Yeah. Thank you for asking about that. Like you said, and I think that's why Loud was so special, is because it felt like a marriage of who I am in my heart and who I am as an artist. And to me, my mom raised me. You guys haven't met my mom, but you guys would love her, and you have to next time.
Please.
She raised me and my sister to believe that, you know, to be a woman is to be synonymous with strength. That's why I sometimes hate, and I say it myself too, because it's, you know, the phrase strong woman implies that there's such a thing as a weak woman.
Mm-hmm. And that's not true.
It's not true. In following my mom's example, and she also raised me to believe that the greatest thing that I could do with my voice is to give, I have dedicated my voice and everything that I do, even my art, to doing that, to protecting the girls of the world. So the Keeping Girls in School Act it's an unfortunate reality that there's over 130 million girls around the world who aren't in school, who have been denied their voice, denied their right to an education, and essentially denied a future. And as a UNICEF ambassador, I've traveled and I've seen, you know, people always say that education changes lives, but I've seen it literally physically save a life. And so going to school for girls is so much more than just getting an education. It's about literally saving their lives. And so the Keeping Girls in School Act will help to break down the barriers that girls face, especially in third world countries, to accessing an education, child marriage, et cetera, et cetera. And it's, you know, one of the most important things that we should be talking about right now.
Oh, totally. And by the way, the most important point that you just hit is, like, it's more than an education.
Yeah.
It's safety and security. It's life. It's a future, but it's also safety in the present.
Absolutely.
You ever think about running for office in the future?
You're so sweet. There's a friend of mine who always jokes Sofia for president.
I think it may happen one day.
You guys are too kind.
But were you always loud, or is there a defining moment in your life where you realized you had to be?
That's a great question. And it's funny because at least in my household, of the women in my family, like my mom and my sister are louder than me in terms of like volume. Like they were always
like actual volume.
Actual volume. I've always been kind of an introvert. That first line, confrontation never has been my strength, has always been my reality. But I always knew who I was and what I stood for, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I was never not confident, but confrontation and sometimes voicing that I struggled with. And I remember being in the industry in the very beginning. I was sent roles or I was sent songs that weren't in line with who I was, whether it was derogatory towards women or it was too sexual. It just, bottom line, just wasn't who I was. And I would say no to them. even if they would offer me quick fame. And it was not understood by the men in the industry, and I was considered difficult until over time it became admirable and respectable to be a woman who stood for what she believed in. And that's when I realized that that is my way of being loud. It's not being the noisiest person in the room, but it's being true to who I am in my heart and fearlessly doing that and fearlessly defending that.
For as long as you can remember, have you always been true to yourself? Have you ever dabbled outside of that and made you realize that it was the wrong decision and to come back to being who you are and following your gut?
You know, I think I've been really careful about the decisions that we've made in my career. And I'd like to say that I think everything has been true to who I am. I think there have been probably personally times in my life where maybe you kind of steer slightly away from, you don't listen to your gut, and then you're like, I should have listened to my gut. My gut knew it all along. But I think in my career, I think I'm pretty proud to say that I think everything has felt pretty true to who I am.
It's scary sometimes to follow your gut.
It's terrifying.
Because like it's sometimes easier to just go with what somebody else is saying because it's lack of accountability.
Absolutely.
But the reality is like it's most likely the wrong decision.
Absolutely.
What was the hardest song for you to finish on this album?
Loud was a really emotional song and also a very vocally challenging one. So I remember that being a challenging but really emotional recording session. Still Love You, I wrote 6 years ago.
Whoa.
I wrote after Descendants 2 came out, like a long time ago. And then I had the original vocal on it for a long time, and then I re-recorded the vocal last fall.
Why'd that song come back? What was it about that record that was still relevant today as relevant it was
It's a great
6 years
question.
ago?
I remember when I wrote that record, I fell in love with it. And, you know, things happened and I was releasing other songs, but I kind of still had that record in the back of my mind. And when I was writing the album, I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect for this story. Like, this happened. And, you know, it's from that moment that you wish you had told the person that you loved, I still love you. So I did it in this song. And when I listened to it again back in the fall when we were putting it all together, I was like, we need to put this on the record. And I'm so happy it's there.
Does it take on new meaning to you now than it did before? Does it mean something new?
It means exactly the same, and it takes me back to that moment in time.
Do you wish that you said those words to them?
I do.
Still?
I do. Yeah.
Do you ever think about what could have been if you did?
Sometimes. I feel like in my music, like I'm sure every artist in the world, it's so incredibly healing to say those words out loud. Because I have always been very protective of my heart and scared of being really vulnerable. And so I wouldn't say something like stay or I still love you because I'd be scared that it would break my own heart if they didn't. So I would write it in a song instead.
See, like I understand that the thought process of like being afraid to say something. But what hurts more? Being told that they don't love you too, or just harboring these emotions forever and ever, not knowing what could have been?
I don't know, but I know that after that experience, I remember feeling that I had broken my own heart. If that makes sense.
And the whole time you were afraid of somebody else doing it.
Exactly.
What was the hardest song to share?
I would say probably Still Love You and Stay. Stay is also a really emotional one, and I got to write that at Max Martin's studio with Rami and Johan at Frank Sinatra's old studio. And I remember the recording process for that song. I was singing for hours and hours, and it's a really emotional song. At the very end of the night, it was like midnight, and my voice was kind of hoarse and a little bit tired. And Rami was like, okay, I think we got it. And I was like, no, actually, I want to go back and re-record the verses with like my voice kind of breaking, because I really wanted to bring to life like that feeling of being broken.
Something that you really can't fake and just needs to be there.
Exactly.
So how does that song begin? Is it fresh? Is it imagination? Is it?
No, that one's real.
Yeah.
So
do you experience this and immediately write about it? Do you experience it and like marinate in it?
Recently, I've been able to experience and immediately write about it, which is really therapeutic. But before, when I was a bit more closed off still, I started writing Stay and I didn't even know what I was writing about until I finished the song. And I was like, oh, this is what it was about, of course. But in the moment, it was like I had this block to my emotions that I didn't know what I was saying. And then I finished the song and I was like, oh. And my sister heard it and she was like, I'm sure if they hear it, they'll know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want the person to know?
You know, I've moved past that. So, you know, it's okay if they don't. But they might know. They might know.
Well, usually you're a very private person. How does it feel now finally like opening up and speaking about all this stuff?
I mean, it's weird because it still feels private because I've always felt that in my music, like these emotions and these feelings are safe. So it is definitely scary and vulnerable, but it's also really beautiful because like I've been releasing sneak peeks of these songs for the last 10 days. And I see people on TikTok doing videos to Still Love You or to Stay or to any of those songs. And they tell me like how it seems like it's their story. And it's kind of cool to feel like these songs aren't mine anymore. Like they're theirs and that they hear their story in mine when they listen to them.
You are telling your story from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And you set expectations and goals at the beginning of it. So you set out wanting to tell your story, or did it just start to present itself as you were going?
A combination. I think now it is fully my story, but it started off as a movie in my head, partially based in reality. And then it, as time went on and experiences happened, it became my own.
Do you see things as like a movie or a
I do.
TV show?
I've always seen them, especially my music, like a movie. Even my music videos or every song, I kind of visualize it like a movie in my head.
Louder, the music video is incredibly cinematic.
Thank you.
What is the process like? How does that come to life?
For this album, I also wrote a visual story to go along with it because I've always loved visuals and I like to think of my music as like movies. And the visual story is the 5 elements. So the first song, Fool's Gold, was fire. The second song, He Loves Me But, was earth. And Loud was wind or air because it's dedicated to the winds of change, the voices of change. And I worked with the director, Yuri Schutzer, who did He Loves Me But with me. And we love working together. And we settled upon the concept of a butterfly because I've always loved butterflies. My mom always called me her butterfly. And to me, the metaphor of a butterfly coming out of her cocoon felt like, the voices of women who are breaking free. And that was kind of where the concept was born. And we really wanted to, with all my music videos, I try to make like a marriage of art and music and pop and fashion. So it's always really fun to bring them to life.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Why'd you wait so long to release a debut album? Because like you said, we've interviewed you 1,000 times. I feel like it would have been out by now. And then it said Sofia Carson debut album. Like what took so long?
It's a good question. I think now was just the time. The pandemic also allowed me for the first time to spend months and months and months on end in the studio. Before I was quite busy, even though I still was busy with films during the pandemic as well, I had a bit more time to just focus on music and really dive into this body of work. And I think as an artist, I had grown so much over the last couple of years. I think I was also now ready to write this story. And it's just like, I think now was just meant to be.
Do you ever think about just like focusing on one form of entertainment? Or are you the artist that you are because you do all of it? Like, could you get the same product if you chose to like just focus on music?
Some days it feels like I'm like, I can't do all of this at once. There aren't enough hours in the day, but I really love it all. Like I love storytelling, whether that's like playing a character or, producing a film or writing a song. And I think you're right. I think maybe I am the artist that I am because I do love doing it all.
Are you more comfortable playing a character or being yourself?
It's less scary to play a character.
Okay.
Far less scary.
But you do have to bring that character to life.
Which also brings added pressures. But there's something about releasing music into the world that feels different than releasing a movie, because in a movie, it's not just you, your name, your face, your heart, your song, your voices, your melodies. It's, a whole production. It's a cast. It's directors. But when it's music, it's like, this is like my bare heart and soul for the world.
And this album, there's not like a title to hide behind. Like the title is your name.
Yeah. And I chose that for that exact reason. I had probably written 10 or more album titles since I was a little girl that I was going to name my first album. And I had one in mind that I thought it was going to be called. And then when we chose the album artwork and I was playing with the titles, none of it worked, only my name.
What was the title you were thinking about?
I don't want to give it away in case I use it one day.
But I just love that you collected them from when you were a little kid.
Oh, for years. But it just felt like, okay, this is me. This is my heart. This is Sofia. Therefore, it should be called Sofia.
How's your childhood in Florida reflected in the art that you create today?
That's a great question. I mean, I would say my upbringing by my mom and the incredible examples in my life definitely formed who I am as a woman, and the stories that I tell, the music that I listened to growing up, and the women that I grew up listening to. Like when I would come home from school, I would watch Cher's concerts, and my mom would show me her movies and Barbra Streisand's movies, and I think more so the artist that I am today was informed by that because they did it all. You know, they were musicians, but they were also actors, and they were directors and producers, and or like Audrey, who was a philanthropist, and so they were always kind of like my examples to follow.
And by the way, like people who did it all, right? Like Barbra Streisand is
trailblazers,
equal parts a thespian, both screen and stage,
director,
and also incredible, singer, director, and God.
Yeah, they kind of changed the way what it was to be a woman in the industry.
Yeah, and a performer, totally push those bounds. Also, on the record, your roots.
Yeah.
Right? Like you speak Spanish on this album.
Yes, I do. I've released 2 songs. I was part of the Lion King soundtrack. And I did Circle of Life in Spanish, which is pretty crazy.
Casual.
Super casual. Super casual. I still can't believe that happened.
But this is your own story in Spanish.
This is my own song. Yeah, exactly. This is a beautiful song called Como, Cuando y Donde. And because this album is a reflection of who I am, and like you said, I was raised biculturally. I was raised speaking, writing, singing in Spanish and English. I needed to have a song in Spanish for this to be whole. Yeah.
And not like Spanglish, not like
full
Spanish.
Right. Full Spanish.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such a beautiful song. It's about that time, you know, when you can't sleep because like the thoughts are running through your mind of like how you lost them, where did they go, and where in the world are they that they aren't with me. And that's kind of what Como, Cuando y Donde means.
Why was this the song to do in Spanish?
The second I heard it, I didn't write the song. The second it was played for me, I was just like in love with it. And it took me back to the songs that I grew up listening to when I was little in Spanish. It was a lot of like rock bands from Spain who played and wrote a lot of ballads like this. Just kind of felt timeless and like this like tension that just carries through the whole song by that like pulsing piano chord. It's just like so beautiful. And the lyrics just stole my heart, and it was just the perfect continuation of my story.
Have you tried to write in Spanish?
I started writing in English and Spanish at the same time.
Oh, wow.
The first song I wrote in English, Leave Me Alone, and Spanish, Déjame en paz.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Why have you waited to embrace that side of who you are until now?
I wouldn't say that I've waited to embrace it because I have released songs in Spanish in the past.
Your own story in Spanish. I mean, this is not your own story, but you embody it, so it does become a part of
absolutely, it. Absolutely. I think with this album, it just felt like the time to release my own solo song in Spanish.
Sofia Carson. That is the title of this album.
It is.
There's no mistaking it.
No.
Who it belongs to.
And it's my face, too.
Yeah.
Really close up.
It's awesome.
What does that title translate to? I would
Como, cuando y donde. Come on, Zach.
I think I can translate it.
Okay, I'll say it first.
Wait,
can you say it again?
Como,
Como,
cuando,
cuando,
y donde.
y donde.
It's like, come here, where are you, right? Or something?
No.
Where are you? Come here.
Where are you? Como means how. Cuando means when. Donde means where. It's interesting because when you write in both languages, there are certain sentiments that when expressed in Spanish just are expressed in the most romantic and beautiful way that doesn't really come across in English. So como, cuando y donde sounds really poetic in Spanish, but in English it's essentially how, when, and where, but it's like how you lost them, when did they go, and where could they be type of thing.
Do you feel that for anybody?
I don't know.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
Well,
very stress-free.
Speaking of that, it's only love, nobody dies.
There you go. I think we all need to hear that.
I mean, do you think heartbreak can kill you?
Well,
it can't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
I think heartbreak syndrome is a real thing. You can die from that.
Give that a Google. I've heard of a lot of old people.
Well, don't give it a Google because then it ruins the whole song.
You're right. Don't Google it.
I've heard of old.
Don't give it a Googie.
Okay, I won't Google it, but it is called broken.
But are we?
Yes, but it won't kill you. It might feel like you might feel like you're dying, but
you're not.
And you know what? What doesn't kill you
makes you stronger.
Makes you stronger.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
So
really brought it around there.
Are we trying to downplay the importance of love in this song?
No, it's not about downplaying the importance of love. It's about that exact sentiment where it feels like you're completely broken and you can't imagine a life without them, and that you perhaps like can't even go on, you're going to be okay.
But if you don't find the person you love, are you really even living at all?
That's beautiful.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And the person who loves you, I think love's a two-way street.
I'm right there with you.
I mean, Dan, do you want me to repeat it? Because I think you can make a case against it.
If you don't find the person you love, are you ever really living?
I mean, I think so.
I think so too.
It could also be an animal.
Oh, God.
That's true. Have you had your heart broken?
Yeah.
And it feels like you're broken, like physically it hurts.
Yes.
But then you're here. You're okay.
Yes, but I'm definitely scarred moving forward.
Yes, but you survived.
That is true.
And you've learned. And you're
Yeah.
going to find the love that's meant for you.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I do think I try to rationalize those heartbreaks as
Yeah.
like they just weren't right. Like
Which
that
is
person
in the
wasn't
moment,
it.
it's like no one can say anything to make it feel better. But
Yeah.
then when you look back, perhaps there was a reason.
Yeah, and they weren't really the person you were in love with anyway.
That's true.
How long do you give yourself to get over heartbreak?
It's funny. I think my sister told me that I think a therapist once told her that it like takes half the amount of time that you were with the person, like something like like technically it actually takes that amount of time. I think it just depends on the relationship, but time. And it's funny in Stay, there's this phrase about saying that in time you'll heal or you'll feel better off, and it's like in the moment it's like, I mean, sure, but like no, this really hurts. This really hurts right now, but it's true. Like time does heal, and then at one point you wake up and you don't think about them anymore.
It's wild.
But it takes a second. But it is wild, isn't it? It's always been so interesting to me how like this person who could be your whole world all of a sudden is a stranger.
100%.
Right?
And I was severely, severely heartbroken by somebody years
so
and years
sorry.
and years ago. I mean,
It just sucks.
life. It does suck, but to be honest, it's true. Like it took me probably around half the time that I knew
were
them
with
to
them.
actually like
To
wake up
actually
and
say,
forget.
and
Like,
not think about them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like even when they try to reach out, like not even acknowledge
Yeah.
any sort
They
of
become
response.
unimportant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you realize what life could be without them, and
And it's
so much
great.
more comes in.
Exactly.
So Timeless, what story are you telling with that song?
So Timeless, I wanted to tell, it was the story of in the beginning of love that immediately follows Fool's Gold. And it's like when it feels like for that moment your love
forever.
could stand the test of time.
Oh, God, I hate that feeling. Because you know it's going to end.
And then it's like, just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's a great moment to capture in a record.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you. I wrote that with Justin Tranter,
So talented.
who's just incredible, who wrote a couple of the songs on the album with me, and he's just amazing. And it was a really fun day because the song's kind of euphoric. It's like this retro celebration of that feeling where love is timeless.
When you
does.
feel that in the moment,
Yeah.
it feels euphoric.
Euphoric is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I just have gone through that feeling where I'm still in it, where I'm like, oh, this could be forever.
You're in it right now?
Yeah, well, like,
Zach,
nah. And then, like,
Wait,
and then-
tell us more.
yeah, but then, like, what's creeping in the back of my brain always is like, oh, it's not going to last. It's not going to work. It's going to end
Like
soon.
self-sabotage?
Self-sabotage, or, like, trusting my gut and reading, like, the obvious signs while
Oh,
I'm
well,
choosing
that's
to
important.
ignore them.
That's scary.
Well, because, like, I'm blinded
it's so
by
hard
this
to
euphoric
do that.
moment.
Yes, it's so hard to do that.
Yeah, like, you can't see the glaring flags in front of you when you're blinded by this, like,
It's so true.
this dream of timeless love.
Like when they say love is blind,
Oh, yeah.
there's such a truth to that.
It's a great
Totally.
show.
Until you out of it and you look back and you're like, oh my God, how did I not see it?
And this person is long distance, so there's like moments that I exist throughout the week or the day or whatever where I think about those things because they're not always around, but they're
Yeah.
around enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, God,
I'm happy for you though. I hope
thanks.
is your gut thinking,
My gut is honestly like I go back and forth between thinking that this is going to be the worst decision I've ever made.
the
this
worst
is
decision
it. I gotta
because you're
do
scared
it.
you're going to be broken by it?
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
gonna totally fuck
Yeah.
me.
Oh,
not
in a good way.
Yeah, which way are you talking about here?
So scary.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
But love is scary.
It
It
is.
is. But you know what? Nobody's dead.
I mean, you mentioned Love is Blind. You ever watch that show?
I don't actually.
Okay, all right, never mind. We'll move on from that.
She's too busy making her own television, Daniel.
Right.
The fuck kind of question is that?
In the little the little teaser for It's Only Love Nobody Dies,
Yeah.
you put this up here and it got the fans going. Who's this? Who's this handsome gentleman?
Whoa, whoa!
Who's this
I
guy?
didn't
Look at-
see this.
Look at the smile on your face.
That's euphoric.
This we can be spoken about off the record.
You posted on the
This is
internet.
on your TikTok.
No comment.
Okay.
I mean, is it real or is this like a music video shoot?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I love the mystery behind it.
I thank you.
I like the mystery.
That was the
man.
intention.
How does it make you feel just staring at this?
How does it make you feel, Dan?
Jealous, envious.
It makes me feel look at the happiness in your smile, in your eyes.
Well, look, he's actually feeling your happiness.
I am.
Good. That's what I wanted.
This is awesome.
Thanks. I love that you just took a screenshot of that and put it up on the screen.
We got a snort.
Couple. Is that DJ laughing?
How'd you? But also, how'd you pick this screenshot?
Well,
Is it not perfect?
I mean,
What would you have chosen?
I don't know
play
if
the
he's-
whole thing?
Yeah,
Of course I can.
I don't know if he's going for your neck or like the cheek.
Hold on. Let me.
I'm glad this lightened up. We were going really deep there for a while.
Hold
It's been a
on.
roller coaster.
Let me bring up your.
I only talk about this stuff with you, though. It's so true. 'Cause it's true. I'm really private.
But also, like we've had like numerous Zooms pent
Numerous
up for
That's true for 2 years.
yeah, like this has just been a long time coming.
Long time coming.
We got your TikTok.
Fuck.
Which one is it again?
The,
Go up.
the one with the same exact
of course.
screenshot
It's
that you
literally you literally chose that as the cover. Yeah, give us a play by
A
play.
nice biker jacket.
We like the fake
Ooh,
leather
look
or
at that.
real. Oh,
Look at you.
I'm dying.
So why don't you explain what's going on here?
It's a TikTok.
Yeah.
And I'm singing It's Only Love Nobody Dies. And then I'm getting kissed on the cheek.
By
Play
who?
by play.
but is this
By a person of the male gender.
Okay.
sick? Sick. You guys look good together. I don't know if this is like music video energy, if this is real life energy. I don't know if you guys both wear leather jackets together and ride motorcycles together.
How many times do you think we're gonna watch this?
I mean, another 10, I think. I mean, he's cute.
Not me?
No,
Yeah. Screw you.
you both look beautiful. You both look adorable. We like this. I mean, I have so many questions. I want to know if this is like this is taken in the timeless phase of love, or like what phase are we in? Like what chapter? If we were to like put it in the album.
It's Only Love Nobody Dies.
Gosh. So you're reminding yourself of that while you look the most in love? That's what you're doing, right? It's a great picture. Anyway.
Thanks, Dan.
This is the first time we've used the TV since moving into the studio. It worked
I am
out really
honored
well.
that it was used for this screenshot.
This is historic.
This is historic.
We're going to remember this.
Forever.
This is on the record.
This is on the record.
By the way, please listen to Sofia Carson's debut album. There's a link in the description below. It is totally worth your time. It is so good. Sugar.
I was about to ask if you liked sugar.
I love it. I mean, I do like the candy, but I like the song too.
I like the candy too.
I mean, is this about a rush?
Yeah, it's essentially about, I mean, you're probably experiencing this right now.
Euphoric
That
sugar rush of love?
Everything is so good that even a kiss tastes like sugar. And that's how I started writing the song. I had wrote like sugar, and then I wrote a lot of the lyrics, and I walked into the studio with that idea, and it was just so fun writing the song. I love that we lean more into the R&B world on this record, and it just feels like the song almost sounds like sugar.
Easiest song to write on the album? Like what just flew?
He Loves Me But.
Really?
I think we wrote it in an hour.
Why was that easy?
It was very inspired by something that was happening to one of the closest people in my life at the time. They were going through a horrible heartbreak. And I remember her telling me a lot of the lyrics that are actually in the song. Like, he says it's best to rain, but I don't really remember him asking me. Or I remember, you know, as you try to make excuses for why they left you, it's like they always say, like, I love you, but I'm not good for you. I love you, but we don't want the same things. And it's like, it's BS. You just don't love me.
Well, that.
So just leave.
Wow.
So I wanted to kind of write a song for her and for all of us who've been there and kind of flip that on its head.
Well, because the truth is, like, can you really call it love if there's a but at the end?
You can't.
No.
You
no.
can't.
I've been there.
It's 100%. It's not love if there's a but at the end. And so my joke with her is always like, I love you, no buts. Like, I love you, no buts. And this song is kind of like the celebration of freedom. It's like the song that you sing with your best girlfriends after you've wiped the tears and you're like, I'm fine.
Wow.
2 tears in a bucket was also a quick one.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote that the next day. And it was like the story that happens after he says, I love you. But it's like, you know what? You don't deserve my tears anymore. All you get is 2 tears in a bucket.
So is that story playing in your head after you write the first song?
So that's exactly what happened. I wrote the first song, He Loves Me But, with Justin Tranter and Oak Felder and Carol Aids. They're just incredible. And then the next day I walked in and I was like, hey, we need to write the next part of the story. Like that reminder of when it feels like your whole entire world falls apart and that you can't imagine that there was a life before them or without them. It's like that reminder, like the hook says, there was life before you and there'll be life again. And I think it's like
wow,
such a powerful reminder that we all need to hear.
God, this album is attached to my life.
That makes me so happy. That's all I wanted.
It is. It's too much. Like, by the way, one of the red flags that I've been seeing in this person, and I'm like currently in this.
I hope they're not
phase.
watching this.
I hope they are.
Okay. I hope you're watching this.
You pick up what I'm putting down. You know, one of the things was like it started with "I love you, but," and then it went away. The but started to go away, but I feel like the but could still come back. Do you get what I'm saying?
Totally get what you're saying.
So are we just in the
That's
I love
hard
you
to
phase?
trust. Hard to trust that the but sounds funny. But will come back.
It's stressful, Dan. You're lucky, man. You're a 30-year-old who's never been on a date in his
I'm where
life.
Dan is right now, though.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Celibate?
I'm great.
I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
I'm good. I feel like I know a lot of people right now going through heartbreak.
Why would I want to bring that stress into my life?
I'm like, I'm good. There's enough happening in the world right now.
It's true.
I also watch people in like relationships and I'm hanging around. I'm like, this does not look fun to me. I don't want any part of this.
I don't want any part
You
of
know
this.
what I mean? I wanted to ask
Listen
about
to
sugar. Is that a little nod to our friend Harold Styles?
My favorite ever.
I know.
Harold. His new album is coming
It
home.
is.
Harry's
We're going
house.
home.
Harry's home. Harry's house. Harry's home.
Harry's house.
Now that I
May
think about it,
20th.
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, Harry didn't make up Sugar High, but you also do. Sugar High.
I do
Watermelon
say Sugar High. I love him so much.
He's an icon.
Hi, Harry.
So are you.
I love you. Oh, thank you.
You stand for something that is more than just, which I think obviously like you can't force that upon somebody, but you do feel this very natural, organic responsibility to champion this solidarity amongst women. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fair to say. I think it's just in who I am. It's in my heart. And I try to infuse that in everything that I do.
And I do think people who stand for something, I mean, music can mean so much and it stands for so much,
Yes.
especially as people apply it to their own lives and it helps them get through their everyday existence. But, you know, standing for something larger than oneself is important, and that's what you do. Same thing with Harry. I mean,
Thank you.
you know, acceptance and love and kindness is such a through line to every single thing he ever does.
Yeah.
It's bigger, the same way, like
It's
you
bigger than us.
Yeah, 100%. But
It's because we have voices that are bigger than us. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that was given to us, not something that we were born with. Like we have this privilege of having this voice and have this platform, and I believe that it's our responsibility.
do you see what you have in terms of a career as given to you or worked for?
Oh, interesting. Worked for, but I think there is a privilege that comes with that, and that is having an audience that is the world, you know, and that I consider a privilege and a gift as well.
And you really, when you say the world, you don't fuck around when you say the world. I mean, I can even make the case that something like Descendants was more popular in South America than it was here in the States, and it was incredibly popular here in the
and
States.
in Japan too.
Yeah,
Like it really
you're
is.
huge in Japan.
Yeah, it's incredible.
To the point where like there's its own separate physical release state in Japan.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
wild.
It's wild. It's wild. It's difficult to wrap your head around, but it is the world, which is a blessing.
How do you define the word loud?
Oh, wow. The word loud. I think the word loud is up to each person to define. You know, I think my way of being loud perhaps isn't yours or my sister's, but for me, being loud means being true to who I am in my heart and fearlessly defending that.
Goosebumps.
Oh, thanks.
What are you thinking, Daniel?
You did mention Sofia Carson for president earlier. Like, is that?
I think like you mentioned
No,
it,
I
to be
said-
honest.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I don't
I
think I
said-
brought that up.
Yeah, she just randomly said,
No, I
gonna be
said
president.
Because there's a
for
friend of mine who
office.
jokes, but it really is a joke.
Why is it a joke? Like, was that not something you'd want to do?
I've never considered it. I think my work with UNICEF is, you know, what I think is the most important thing that I can do with my voice. And who knows, you know, as much as I can make change, I will. But I'm an artist first and foremost. I don't think I would get into politics.
I don't want to quote Selena Gomez, but I will. Who says you're not presidential? Who says you can't be in movies? Listen to me. Listen to me.
listen to me.
Look at the president of the Ukraine.
What?
He was an actor.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's correct.
You're right.
Vladimir, an icon and a hero. I mean, truly somebody who has gone on to
a hero.
He's redefined the word hero.
Absolutely.
And by the way, like leaders can come from anywhere and anyone.
Are you guys really trying to pitch me to run for office?
I mean,
I
Dan
am.
is. I don't know why.
I just think you're very well spoken.
That's
Thanks,
it.
Dan.
That's all it takes.
That's all it requires.
You're very
Jesus.
smart. You're very. Remember, I think the last time we talked to you, I said you're very classy and elegant. How do you do it?
Oh, you're so sweet.
Because
Does Dan have a crush?
can I not say that?
No, you're allowed to.
Am I not
You're
allowed,
allowed
to
to say that.
nominate
I just-
someone for the president of the United States of America?
Yeah, because it's up to you. It's all on your shoulders.
It is up to Dan.
Now, do you and your sister have a special connection over the song "Still Love You"? Because you did tweet at her and
Yes.
said our song.
Because I think it's the oldest song on the record. And whenever we get in the car, she asks me to play it. So it's like been like our little secret.
Oh.
And she's always like, when are you going to release that song? When are you going to release that song? And she would sometimes forget the name, but she would know the melody. And she would like, na 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 na, and she would sing the melody or the pre-hook. A couple days ago, I released the teaser and I sent her like a video of someone on TikTok singing it. And she was like, WTF, I feel like someone stole something from us. This is our song, which is like the beautiful part of releasing a song. It's like, it's not mine anymore. Like now it's theirs.
It's the world's.
Yeah, it's the world's.
That is like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And that is really special when you sit with something and something becomes such a part of your daily personal life.
Yeah.
To see it out there in the world, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. She can't wait. She's like, I can have these songs on my phone on Friday. I'm so excited. Which makes me just so happy.
By the way, listen to Sofia Carson's debut album. It is called Sofia Carson, and there's a link in the description below. It is more than worth your time. I
Thank you,
mean,
Zach.
God, phenomenal body of work.
Thank you.
How'd you know it was finished?
I knew it was finished when I sat down and I wrote, I guess, kind of a poem, but it was just kind of I wrote a piece using all of the song titles from start to finish. And I can say it to you guys if you want, but it's
Yeah,
part of the album
what?
trailer. She's falling for a love that feels like fool's gold, a kiss that feels like sugar. And when they're together, it feels like their love is timeless. Until one day he looks into her eyes and says, I love you, but. Tears fall down her face like rain, but she holds her head high because he'll never deserve more from her than 2 tears in a bucket, even though every part of her wishes that he would just stay, because her truth is, I still love you. And every night she looks up at the sky and wonders, como, cuando, y donde, until one day she realizes that she's more than okay because she's loud, and she finds the strength to survive because it's only love. Nobody dies.
Wow.
Wow.
How did you even come up with the concept to sit down and try to string them together and create something like
I
that?
always knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted to write a chronological story, and when I knew that I could and it was finished, that's when I knew that the album was finished.
When all the titles fit together.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Please listen to Sofia Carson's debut album,
What's it called?
Sofia Carson. Link in the description below. We've covered a lot here,
We have.
from UNICEF to your running for president.
Got my vote.
What else is on your mind, Daniel?
How's what Purple Hearts?
Yes.
How's that going?
I just watched the first cut last week.
And
I can't wait to share it with the world. It's I produced the film.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I wrote the soundtrack for it.
God, so
And I
presidential.
starred in so
The
presidential.
most presidential.
The most. And I actually have been attached to this project for 4 years now.
Wow.
When I was shooting Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionist, my director, Liz Allen, she said, it was around Christmas, and she goes, Merry Christmas. Here's a rough script, and let's do this. And she wanted me to partner with her to bring this project to life. And I don't know what she saw in me that she believed that I could do this with her in this capacity, but she did, and I'm so grateful for her. And so we embarked on this journey together, and I helped to develop the script, develop the character, pitch the movie. I wrote the soundtrack with Justin Tranter over the summer, filmed it over the fall, and now it's being edited and will be in Netflix this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a challenge.
Yes.
Like you've never taken on before.
Like I've never taken on before. And I was petrified.
1, what do you learn about yourself from finishing this album? And then 2, what do you learn about yourself from literally being a part of something as large scale of a production where you were part of literally every aspect
Every
of a movie?
aspect of this decision making and the storytelling is that everything you want is on the other side of fear. That fear is the only thing that stops you. And when you overcome that and then you do it, it's the greatest feeling in the world, and the growth that comes from that is hard to put into words, I would say, because I was petrified going into this movie, and it was the greatest experience of my life. I was petrified a couple weeks ago when I announced the album, and this has been one of the greatest experiences of my life, and yeah, that's what I would say.
How do you find the bravery? I mean, because some people will look at fear and then they just kind
It
of
stops
succumb
you.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you turn around.
I think of my mom. My mom always said that in moments like that, when life challenges you, we have a choice to make. We either run or we face it. And life is so short, and life is lived in moments, and this moment right here, right now is a gift. So are we going to run away, or are you going to face it? I'm saying this if it was an easy decision. It's not always easy to make, you guys know, because sometimes life is scary. But when you do, it's so worth it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Are we doing music videos for all these songs?
All the singles have had music videos, and so there will potentially be a music video for the next single, for Nobody Dies.
Sick.
Yeah.
What?
We may meet this man.
Do you want to meet this man?
If he's in the music video, I guess
Dan's
we'll all
either
meet him.
jealous or he's very curious.
I think he's curious.
I'm curious as to what's it like being a My Little Pony.
It's a great shift. Great segue.
I mean,
Seamless transition.
Pretty good at what I do, you know.
Being in My Little Pony is fun.
It takes a
It's-
lot of
it's
tact
fun.
and expertise to pull that one off. Jesus.
It was so cool. We recorded over the pandemic. It's this awesome animated movie on Netflix, and
With Kimiko Glenn.
Kimiko Glenn, who's hysterical, Vanessa Hudgens, Liza Koshy, a great cast. And yeah, it came out on Netflix. I think it was the #1 movie in the world for a couple of weeks,
Hell
which
yeah.
is really cool. And fans just fell in love with. I play Princess Pip Petals. Say that 3 times fast.
Princess Pip.
Petals.
Princess Pip Petals.
Princess Pip Petals. Princess Pip Petals.
Princess Pip Petals. Go ahead, Zach.
Princess Pip Petals. Princess Pip Petals. Princess Pip Petals.
Oh, talent.
She's really fun. And it was really fun to be a part of it. I also had the theme song of the movie called Glowing Up. And
Sick.
yeah, it was great.
Do you have your own My Little Pony? Like, do you have a figurine of it?
I do.
Do they sell them?
I do.
Wow, you can get your own pony in a store.
Yes, you can.
It's pretty sick.
It's pretty sick.
Were you a pony that was already existing, or did they make a pony
We
for
made
you?
a new one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
It's a big one.
It is a big one.
Will you go-
I mean, I grew up watching My Little Pony and having My Little Ponies. So when I became one, I was like, this is pretty legendary.
Have the bronies been intense? Like grown men who love My Little
I
Pony?
was like, what's a brony?
They exist. They're out there.
I haven't met them,
Oh.
but I'm sure they watched the movie. Or I
Now they're
hope
going to
they did.
rear their ugly heads. You watch yourself, you bronies. Are you doing more than one movie? Will you be back? Will Princess Pip
For MLP?
pedal?
I mean, who knows? You know what I did do, which is pretty cool? Do you guys use the Calm app?
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
saw you're on there.
Where you can now fall asleep to Princess Pip Petals on the Calm app.
That's cute.
Isn't that cool?
I like
It's
that.
Calm for kids, so I got to voice Princess Pip and do like a sleep story for kids on the Calm app.
What if I told you I already used it?
What?
I don't know what I would say to that.
I'm just kidding. I haven't.
I don't know.
Here you are.
There she is.
There you are.
Can you pull up?
You look so good.
Thanks.
You look beautiful.
The resemblance is uncanny.
Dude, you got another Halloween costume. Now you got 2 of them.
You're right. Actually, Evie has like 3 or 4.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
At Halloween, actually, this last year, it's been a couple years since Descendants 3 came out, and at the Halloween store, the biggest poster outside, it was like generic costumes, like a ghost, a clown,
a scarecrow.
Evie, and I was like, wow, that's wild.
That is crazy,
That's
right?
crazy.
But
A
that's-
scarecrow, Evie.
But there's like a cultural responsibility when you choose to embody something that
Absolutely.
is, so universally understood
So
by kids and
universally
people.
beloved.
Yes.
It's really a beautiful responsibility. Yeah.
Gosh, you can't be a bad person to do that. They have to do background checks on people like that,
I don't know if they do.
They have to. I mean, they know. You're pretty out there. You went to college, though, like a normal person. I always
UCLA.
forget that. Like, you went to, do you still live in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Do you think college shaped you in a positive way into who you are today? Because a lot of people
Yeah.
in your position, if you look back at their histories, they didn't get a chance to do anything of normalcy. And
That's-
nothing's more normal than college.
That's the exact word. I'm so lucky that I had a completely normal life. I mean, I was always working towards this, but fame didn't exist, celebrity didn't exist, this world didn't exist until I was 21. So I was, a grown woman. Obviously, we're still babies at that age, but I wasn't 14 or 13.
less formidable and moldable.
Exactly. I was 21 years old. I had gone to college for a couple of years. So yeah, my education, I mean, I think that's the reason why it's so important to me to fight for girls' educations, not to go back to that, but you know what I mean? Like I understand the privilege and what an education can do to someone. And so I always tell everyone that I meet, like, stay in school, study hard, stay in school, even if you're in the industry.
Why do you think fame came so late? And it's not late.
No,
but
it's
like,
not.
But compare, I mean, some of your
To other
peers and
Disney
your
actors,
colleagues.
yeah, for sure. I owe it to my parents, to my mom, who they wanted to make sure that I was an adult when I made these decisions, and they wanted to make sure that I had a normal upbringing and that I had an education. It was after I was 18 and I moved to LA and started going to UCLA that I was able to start auditioning professionally and, you know, recording music professionally, even though I'd started songwriting years and years before. But I'm really grateful for that.
It's an amazing story that is, like, compared to your peers within the Disney space, like a rare story.
Yeah, you're
that
right.
doesn't exist.
You're right. You're right. It is rare.
Sofia Carson.
Zach saying.
That is the name of her album. Listen to it. Link in the description below.
Does this have a name?
You know, there is no name to Cat Pillow, but
Should we name? Is it a she, he, they?
It's a they. I don't want to
They.
gender the cat. It's easily the most famous and valuable thing in this room.
It's beautiful.
It's like,
They're
I mean,
gorgeous.
people know the Cat Pillow before they know Dan and I.
Absolutely.
That's fair to say.
100%.
I knew you guys before I knew the cat pillow.
Thank you so much.
I'm a big fan.
Most people know the Cat Pillow as like you know, people hold it like I don't know, many famous
It kept me
people hold
company.
It's the right shape,
It
right?
is the right shape and the softness.
Yes. Wow, a lot of people have pet that kitty.
Really?
I mean, like, yeah.
I'm petting greatness right
Blackpink a few times, Ariana Grande, pet the greatness. What do you? Okay, don't be a freak. Sofia Carson,
now. Zach saying,
love and appreciate you very much.
I love and appreciate you. I love and appreciate you, Dan.
I love and appreciate you.
Thanks.
Big
You're
words
so
coming from you.
timeless and classy. How do you do it?
Trust me, that's none of those words describe me at all.
I love you guys.
Congratulations on your debut album.
Thank you guys for having me.
Really, you're amazing.
I love you
Sofia
guys. Thank you.
Carson. Whee!